What's going on, everybody? Trevor Alexander here from Save and Sip, where we bring you financial sense in a social way. Very, very excited about this episode. This is very special and near and dear to my heart. This is going to be the nurses edition, where I'll be interviewing and speaking with 4 amazing nurses from the very own Illustrious Hampton University. The purpose of this video was Save and Sip. Of course, we talk about investing, credit, taxes, everything financial. On top of that, we understand that your normal job is really big. You can't make a lot of money moves. You can't make investments or buy real estate without at least securing a bag. And these nurses have done just that. So I'm gonna allow them to introduce themselves. So we're gonna dig into some numbers. They're looking shy right now, but I promise you, in the next 5 to 10 minutes, as we drink our Hennessy and the beverages laid out before us, we're going to have a good time learning about everything that these nurses do, their journey since Hampton, and all that they're doing, especially during these times of COVID-19 and everything that's going on in our world. So from here to the end of the table, I'm going to allow y'all to each introduce yourself, what school you went to, what type of nurse are you, that type of thing.
All right, hi y'all. My name is Jasmine Price. I am a hospice nurse who currently works at the Department of Veteran Affairs in Baltimore, Maryland. I went to HU, graduated in 2016.
Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Channing Scott. I also went to Hampton University, graduated in 2016. I am an ICU travel nurse, currently contracted in Washington, D.C.
Hi, I'm Chelsea. I also went to Hampton and graduated with these ladies in 2016. I'm a labor and delivery nurse and I work in Arlington, Virginia.
And hey everyone, I'm Symone Hopkins. I also graduated with them in 2016 and I'm a family nurse practitioner in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay. I usually ask what's your favorite drink to sip on. As you can see, we all have Hennessy. That's what we're drinking on today. So all y'all like Hennessy?
Yes.
You can't go wrong with the cognac. You see, we got the gallon and the very special. Let's talk about, why did y'all even want to be nurses in the first place? All y'all met at Hampton, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So can one of y'all, all y'all tell me about your journey at Hampton and your nursing journey particularly?
Your nursing journey.
Now the whole journey is going to know about
Shout out to the Yellow House.
So all of y'all went to nursing school. Y'all took with the NCLEX. That's what
Right.
what is the NCLEX?
Test to certify. That makes you a nurse.
Licensure.
You are not a nurse until you take that NCLEX.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before that, you're just somebody with a nursing degree.
Okay, so
Don't forget
any
that.
nursing school in America, any aspiring nurses to be RNs, right, have to take the NCLEX. That's regardless of university.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If you want an RN, yes.
Yes.
And after there, you get to, because all of y'all are different types of nurses currently.
Yes.
Y'all get to choose your path from there, or after you take the NCLEX, what does it look like?
Essentially, you kind of do get to choose your path. There's so many different paths you can go on. Some of them require like other steps prior to, but for the most part, you can kind of do like whatever you want to do.
Okay.
And I think, for almost every last one of us, nursing, trying to go to a job, you were the new grad RN. That's how you apply. So they'll put you on like a 6-month or less orientation, and it could be anything. It could be mother and baby, cardiac, whatever. And especially if you did your internship there, they just wanted to see, oh, you were new grad, and that's how they try to get you, because it's like, oh, you applied to this new grad position, so they try to keep you as long as you can, show you every little thing, because in nursing, we can read the books all day, but until you get on that floor and you get hands-on, you're not going to understand it. So that's what a lot of jobs do, employers. They try to get you to apply to the new grad position. And my new grad position was cardiac. And
I feel like all of us kind of switched positions from what we
But also with new grad positions, they also have something called a nurse residency program, which is your first year essentially of nursing, and they you have to do like a project. You also have your orientation transition into being a nurse.
But wholeheartedly focused on retention because nursing turnover
is
and burnout is
real.
Yeah,
So a lot of them will have you, what you don't realize, they'll have you sign like a contract or things like that. That'll try to lock you in for 2 years or however long, or they'll offer you like a relocation package. And if you leave the hospital prior to that time, you have to pay the money back. So I would suggest that everybody read the fine print when you're starting a job as a new grad nurse, especially in these times because retention is high.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's a good point. I'm happy y'all bring that up, the retention and the contractual piece. Especially as millennials, we are known for not wanting to stick to one place or bounce from place to place. And you know, at Savings Tip, we talk about money, finances, the numbers, a lot of investments for 401ks, the TSPs, which will cover 403bs, all these different accounts. And what millennials don't realize is that sometimes you jumping from job to job and you're leaving money on the table.
Right.
And you don't want to read the fine print, and that can end up hurting you in the long run from a monetary standpoint. So all y'all spoke about the reasons why you chose to be nurses. Either it was influential, something personal, something you've seen growing up. But nursing has a pretty strong reputation for being, what's the word I'm looking for? Making money. It's a lucrative field, especially if you stay in it. So, I mean, what's like the pay range for a nurse, like post-graduation? You got your RN. What can you look at, and does it vary on what type of nurse you are, or can y'all speak to that?
I'm gonna say this. Starting out as a new grad nurse, depending on the area that you live, you are not about to come out making
A whole lot.
bukus of money. It may be obviously the most money that you ever made, but it's not like you about to go buy a Ferrari. Like you're not gonna be making that kind of money.
I mean, you make good
You
money.
make good money. You make enough money
You'll
to
start
make
higher than a lot of people that you graduated with.
But I think
Will you come out making over 115,000?
No,
What range are we
absolutely
talking about?
not.
We're like 75.
And that's in
starting
75 starting in certain areas.
Certain areas.
I started in North Carolina. That was not
So, yeah.
how much I was making.
Mhm.
Like you could be where I worked a 0.9 employee or 1.0.
Right.
Nurses work 36 hours a week.
Mhm.
So 0.9 means you worked 3 12s, which is 36 hours a week.
Okay.
1.0 means you worked 4 12s one week and 3 12s the next to
Mhm.
really have a total of 80 hours to
Right.
make
So you're a full. Okay.
yeah, to make
Makes
you be a
sense.
full-time employee. And that's what I had to do to make ends meet, because to be honest, when I started working, I was making like $20 some an hour.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I
Like-
think I was right at 27, like 50 an hour
And
as
I
a new
think
grad.
yeah, and I think mine was like 23 or 24.
Yeah, mine was 27.
Oh, you were
27.
23.
Yeah, in
okay.
North Carolina, yeah. I was
And
See, but I think I did because I did the VA little system,
Yeah.
and we were making, I think, because it was me and Avery, so we were making like, I feel like it was like 26 an hour. But then when I went to Inova, I was making like 27.50 or something an
So
hour.
location
And don't
is
get
big.
I think you
Location
think
yeah,
is
location
big.
big, and it's
And
off
mine
of the
was like-
shift.
Mine was like 50 or 75 off from Jasmine, but
Yeah.
when we did our paychecks together, it almost equated the same because
Right.
it's cost of living.
Right.
You got to remember
Okay.
that.
Right.
So even though you were in North Carolina, you got to remember
Right.
she was
Cost of
almost
living,
equating
right.
to what I was making
Right.
as a new grad.
So
Right.
what each city? What city were you in? What city in North Carolina?
I was in Durham, North Carolina.
Durham. What city did you
I
your first job
started
at?
in Fairfax, Virginia.
Fairfax, Virginia.
so
I started in
Virginia.
Annapolis, Maryland.
Annapolis, Maryland.
And I was Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond, Virginia. Okay.
And now the pay does fluctuate whether you work night
Yeah,
shift or
right.
your weekend or weekend night. You get a little bit extra money for that. But your base, when we're just speaking of your base.
You're 36
You're
hours.
36 hours, not
Yeah.
working night shift, not working weekends.
It's like
That's-
50,
starting
it's like
rate.
50,000.
Yeah,
It's
like 50 to
50,000.
60,000.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
A little fluff.
Yeah.
Maybe I
When you live with your parents and you ain't got no bills, it sure it feel like 75.
No, it's like 50.
Yeah, that was not the case
$50,000
for
a
me.
year.
I mean, I know I started when I graduated college. I was at home, so yes, it probably did feel like that.
Yeah.
You had a lot of
Everything
money
went to
flow.
savings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's the
wasn't at
most
home.
money you ever made.
Right.
So it's like,
I suggest nobody do what I did. I went, as soon as I got my offer letter, I went and bought a new car.
Yeah.
I moved into an apartment. Like, I was out here. And then when I was writing down those bills, I was like, ooh,
Yeah. Go
yeah, you need to pick up an extra shift, sis, because you can't go on that vacation. You can't do this, you know, so.
Yeah.
Right.
We spoke about that on a previous episode about staying at home if you can. Not everybody has a relationship with their parents, or may not even be in the area with their parents post graduation to have that luxury of staying home. But if you can do it, it's really that 2 to 3 year time frame where you can save up buku money
Yeah.
and then move how you want. And if that's not an option, it's not an option. You know, just go get your apartment and have that freedom. It's a big jump going from college back to your parents' home. Because
ooh, ain't it?
But not even that. I took it upon myself in nurse practitioner school. I bought a house right in the dead center of school. So
The stress.
staying at home probably would have been the best bet, and I, for some odd reason, wanted to just venture out.
Wanted to jump out there.
The
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, stay home.
Yeah.
I think I stayed
exactly.
home for 2 years.
2 years and bought a
I stayed home
house.
for 2 years and then moved out and bought a house.
Okay. Nah, that's really good to know.
I
Okay.
stayed home so much that I took off a whole year nursing because I was like, oh, I'm about to go back to school. So I would definitely stay at home as long as you.
I mean, all four of you make enough money from like, salary and additional benefits to either have a home already or to buy a home, when you're ready. And that's a big thing we try to push on this platform, because working a 9 to 5, or in y'all cases, y'all work multiple 12-hour shifts. Y'all like 9 to 5s.
I'm a 7 to 7, 7P to 7A.
7
Not
feet to
anymore.
Right.
The working for an employer is not whack if you're getting a bag. That's the point I'm trying to make. If you're doing something that you like, you're blessing other people and you're making some money, then it's really a win-win. Not everybody can be an entrepreneur or get out here and start something.
Say it again.
So once again, just figure out what field you want to go into if possible, and secure that bag there, because you can't make certain plays. You can't do all of these other crazy financial plays unless you at least have secured some type of bag or have some money. Because when you go to get a home, they're looking at your debt to income ratio, your DTI. They're looking at your expense. They're looking at all of these things that if you have a job that makes some money, it works in your favor. So on top of salary, we talked about a nurse coming out. You may make 60, 75, 50, all depending on the location you're in. I'm in IT and finance, and it's the exact same. It's all dependent on what location you're working in. DC, San Francisco, New York, you're gonna make the most money. But can y'all speak to, on top of salary, benefits? Benefits are what people sometimes tend to forget in addition to salary, and how much of a blessing it can really be.
Yeah.
So like, what are some different types of benefits that as a nurse y'all been privy to, I guess? It's like, for example, so Shannon, you're a travel nurse, right?
I am a travel nurse.
Channing, I'm sorry,
Yes,
Channing with
I am a
a
travel
CH.
nurse.
What is particularly the travel nursing, what are some benefits that aren't the norm with other types of nursing?
You know what? Travel nursing definitely has its pros and cons. It doesn't bring as much stability as you would have if you were a staff nurse locked into your job. I mean, like right now, my contract is getting ready to be up in DC, and I have to find somewhere else to work. And it's like, so many people are fighting for these jobs. You have to be on it, and I'm gonna have to go to either Florida or Texas next for work. But as we still get insurance, sometimes it's not as good as the insurance that you would get with the hospital, which for me and my diabetes, I had to kind of justify. I was making more money, so I had to pay out more money for like my medications and things like that. We don't get necessarily like paid time off. If we don't work, we don't get paid. But we also get more money we get a housing stipend, and we get a meal stipend. And right now with COVID going on, they'll send you places and they'll give you a rental car for your entire contract, or they'll put you up in a hotel for your entire contract. So it has its pros and cons. It works for some people, it doesn't work for others. I've been doing it. I was a nurse for a year, and I immediately started travel nursing, but it was always something that I wanted to do.
Okay. Okay, before I jump somewhere else, is travel nursing, is it 1099 contractual, or is it like W-2 employee?
It's W-2.
It's W-2, okay.
It is W-2.
Okay.
But it is very difficult, and you have to get somebody who really knows how to do taxes, because
Are you a tax person?
I'm a resident in North Carolina. North Carolina is my tax home. My car, everything is registered in North Carolina. But like last year, I worked in 3 different states. So North Carolina is my tax home. That's where I have to pay taxes. But I also have Georgia, Virginia, and DC where I have taxes.
Yep.
So you have to find somebody who knows how to do your taxes, or you will be messed up. I mean, every year I end up owing North Carolina because I'm not working in North Carolina, and not owing a little bit of money. Like, I owe North Carolina money. So with the taxes, it gets a little funny, and because the only thing that is taxed is the hours that I work. My housing stipend, my meals, none of that is taxed.
Mhm.
So on my W-2, it will look like I made $40,000 in a year, when in all actuality, I may have made 80. Like, it
I got you.
looks,
Got
because that money isn't taxed.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Chelsea, and or Symone, as far as like other benefits? Have anything outside of salary? You said, damn, I'm happy to be a nurse, or whether it be like additional health insurance or like, hell, we're going through COVID-19 right now. COVID-19 phase. Anything else like from a nursing standpoint, you kind of realize it's helpful, like loans,
Student loans.
buying a home. Like I know from a home buyer perspective, there are loans particularly for people that work certain types of jobs, whether you're a public servant, a nurse. So any benefits y'all want to speak to at all? Not okay.
So when I bought my house over 2 years ago now, I had the nursing kind of loan. I don't even know what it was called, but
First
because
responders loan, I think is what it is.
yeah, and so that helped me out. But specifically talking about my job, I get reimbursed for traveling for CME. So, for instance, I went to Charleston 2 weeks ago now, and that was fully paid for, meals and all. So that's one of the benefits is continuing education that we all have to get in general. I literally get reimbursed for going to have to do it as a RN, but also as a provider now. And then I have things like a flexible schedule. So pretty much once I see my patients, I'm gone. Outside of charting and doing the ins and outs of being on call, my schedule is pretty much at my hands.
Okay.
And so I work, my scheduled hours are Monday through Friday. I also see nursing homes, but for the most part, when I'm done, I'm done. The downfall is I'm salary, and I know we'll get into it later for other avenues that you can go, but I also have other jobs that allow me to be hourly, because that's one thing I do miss from being floor nursing, travel nursing, is I get paid for everything I do.
Yeah.
So,
Sure do.
Yeah. Now that hourly versus salary debate is real.
Yeah.
But when you first come out of college, you're like, damn, I want a salary. I want this money.
I don't
I
never
want
want
an
to be
annual.
salary.
And then you realize, hourly might be the move.
Hourly, I've never been salary, so I can't say, but I can't even imagine not having
I'm not getting paid for what I'm doing.
Yeah, for what I'm doing, or even if I need a little extra.
Charting time or something.
That extra 30
It's
minutes.
been a busy day. I didn't take lunch. Today.
No, if I'm busy, no lunch.
Right.
No
Didn't
lunch.
get a lunch.
Write that down in the book, because I
And
didn't
that's
get a lunch.
often.
Run me my coin.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, it's nice to know how much I'm getting. Like, it will never change.
Change,
Yeah,
yes.
I can tell you,
Yes.
y'all want to go somewhere? Oh, I got you. Like,
Right.
it's
Right.
none of
I
that.
understand that.
But at the same time, with being on call, taking calls for my nurses 7 p.m. at night, I'm not getting paid. I'm
Right.
getting that baseline pay if I'm not at my other jobs.
That's
Yeah,
real.
and I want to break down the hourly part. So just like from a nurse standpoint, you get different type of benefits. So like you get tour diff. So if I work after a certain hour, you making more money. Or if I work on weekends, I'm making more money.
Yeah, shift differential.
Right. Or if I'm working holidays, I'm getting time and a half. So like the numbers it's crazy when you think about it. So like say you do an extra, like a holiday. It was 4th of July just passed. I worked 4th of July. So I'm working 4th of July. That's 12 hours. So I'm getting time and a half. So when you're really thinking about it, it's like almost an extra $800 just
For
for
one
working.
shift.
Yeah, for that 12-hour shift.
For one
Just
shift.
to
For one
work
shift.
that holiday weekend. Now don't get me wrong, the taxes be crazy.
right?
You don't see it all. You don't see it all, but you do.
Yeah, in the end, it's like, I remember I worked Christmas, I worked New Year's, and I was like, dang, that was like almost an extra $1,000 in my account, and that's after it was taxes.
Yeah,
That was after it was
taxes.
taxed. So
Yeah.
work the holidays, and then on weekends, weekends is it's like almost an extra $10 to $12 an hour extra when you work that Saturday and that Sunday. And then, like I said, if you work after, is it after 5? I think it's after 5 or 6.
At least at my job, it was 3 o'clock.
3?
Yeah.
Okay, so after 3, you making
Because they
probably
break it
like
down
an
for
extra
8-hour increments.
Right,
Well,
exactly.
for us, yeah.
Right, it's hour increments. So you're making like an
3:30.
extra
Yeah.
$9, $10, $11 an hour. by being that 7 to 7 shift. So that's what the benefits of it is of nursing. It's just like each you get paid by the hour, and it varies from a lot.
And
I
those
work night shift, so
And that's a whole nother ball game.
that's let me tell you
the difference in pay.
The difference in pay. Like, I have pretty much always been a night shift nurse. Like, I think I rotated for maybe like the first 6 months of me being a nurse. And I did not like waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I can wake up at 5 o'clock in the evening, but not in the morning. And when I switched jobs, when I switched specialties, I had to do like my training during the day. And it was like a $600 a month difference for me. Like, you don't really realize like how much you're getting in your shift differential. And like different employers have, you know, like different differentials. But it's like a noticeable difference. So,
and like work the holidays,
work the weekends, night weekends,
and we
So for me,
as
as a travel nurse, you don't get shift differential, okay? Like, that's not something that you get. So I go in, I'm like, I put everything in my contract. I'm only working day shift. For the most part, if I can get it, I'm working day shift. I try not to work their require every other weekend or whatever the hospital requirements are, because I don't get the extra money that their staff is getting to work those days. I personally don't work any holidays.
It's a benefit of being
a travel nurse. Like, after this contract, if I didn't want to work, if I wanted to take a month off and then go back to work, then I could. Or I could pick up a contract for 4 weeks. Like, this next normal contracts are 13 weeks. My next contract, I'm gonna do 8 weeks, and that's just what I'm gonna do. And I'm putting in my contract the days that I want to work, the days I don't want to work, and I'm not working any holidays. That's just
period.
Nah, that's dope. That's a lot of that was like 7 to 10 minutes right there of like pure benefits. Like, for real, for not like Symone talked about her being a nurse and having when you buy a home, you're working with a lender. The lender is going to figure out which programs, whether it's a state program, a local county, city program, or a program particular to your job, will help you with down payment assistance, closing costs, all those types of things. Shannon, and this is funny because when I thought of a travel nurse, I instantly thought that would be like just a 1099 contractual type of position. And you made me think about like athletes, for example, NFL and NBA professionals. When they travel to different states, let's say LeBron, he plays for the Lakers. Let's say they're going to go play the DC Wizards, the Washington Wizards. NBA players get taxed in the home state that they play in, and they also get taxed in every single state that they go play in. So if you play for like Toronto Raptors, you're getting taxed by the Canadian government. Then you go to the United States, you're getting taxed by Uncle Sam at the federal U.S. level. And then whatever state you're playing in, you're getting taxed in every single state and city. That's NBA, NFL. So
I didn't realize that.
yeah, it's hard to evade taxes. And if you're watching this video and don't know the difference between a W-2 or 1099, get you a good tax professional. You know, do your taxes on your own if you can, but once it starts to get complicated, avoid it because it can be a headache. And furthermore, as far as like benefits, Jasmine, didn't you have some benefits? You went back and did your master's, you said.
Yeah.
And did you have any benefits? You got something through the VA, right? And what is the VA?
So the VA is Veteran Affairs, Department of Veteran Affairs. It serves military service member, active duty, or veterans. So I've always worked at the VA. Everybody know that here on this platform. I've always worked at the VA. Like, the VA paid for me while I was in school. The VA gave me my first internship as a nurse. The VA also paid for my master's program. And that's when I went to VCU and went into nursing administration. They paid for the whole tuition, and then they gave me a stipend of $1,200 every month. So that's why I was able to kind of fall.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's why I was. Okay, go back to school, sign up for USA Jobs, and they have like applications. So yes, they was giving me $1,200 a month. I think
I'll do it.
If it's like an MP program or like an administrative master program, yeah, they'll pay for you. And that's how it benefited me. Like, the VA has always kind of like held me down for real. So that's what I did. And now you can move up into the VA and do things like that. But I've always like enjoyed working for the military. So
okay, cool. All right, so we finished up on talking about what the VA has been able to do for you, from giving you scholarship opportunities to job opportunities for the past few years. We talked about salaries. In addition to salaries, is also benefits. Most people talk about getting $70,000, $100,000, $150,000 a year. We talked about some benefits. Are any of y'all enrolled in any retirement plans, like a 401k, a TSP? Like, who in here is on a retirement plan, should I say. So so 3 of you. What type of plan are you in, Symone?
So I work for a nonprofit in Richmond, and we have a 403B.
Okay, 403. And what about you?
So working for the Department of Veteran Affairs, we get TSP, which is a traditional savings plan.
Uh-huh. And what about you,
And so I'm
Chelsea?
doing 5%.
Okay, you're contributing 5%?
Yeah, I'm contributing 5% right now because the VA, that's what they top at 5%. And then after that, I have to be vested in for 3 years to get everything that I already sewed in.
Okay.
And I have a 401k, and I started off at 5%, but I have my program set to, like, it'll go up each year in June to cap off at 12%.
Okay, so
Contribution.
they continue to match you up to your contribution? They go up 1% each year probably? Okay, cool. So this is actually a dope it's a dope situation because we have 3 people with 3 different types of what they call tax deferred plans. Symone mentioned she has a 403B, Chelsea has a 401k, and Jasmine has a TSP, which is a thrift savings plans. All 3 of these plans have different names, but in actuality, they're all the same. And they're structured as tax deferred plans. So what that means is you put money in, your employer puts money in. For 403Bs, that's typically, if you're an educator, if you're watching this and you're a teacher, you might have a 403B. Or if you work for a nonprofit, you might have a 403B. Chelsea has a 401k, which is a traditional company usually offers you a 401k. You think of your bigger companies, they're gonna offer you a 401k. And Jasmine has a TSP, a thrift savings plan, which is is normal for government employees because she works for the VA, the Veterans Affairs, which is a department of under the Department of Defense. So all of these are tax deferred contribution plans. You put money in, it's not taxed. It grows, tax deferred, but when you go to pull that out at age 59 and a half, you have to pay taxes on it down the line. And that's what you can't forget. At Save and Sip, we help a lot of people with their individual retirement accounts, also known as your IRAs. We set up brokerage accounts, all those things. But these are tax deferred accounts that we're talking about. So know that you put money in, but later down the line, you're pulling money out at whatever your tax rate is. We're all in our mid to late 20s.
I didn't know that.
So we're talking 30 to 35 years when we will want to access this money, and it will be taxed. If you want to pull this money out, you're subject to different tax penalties, early withdrawal penalties, income taxes. But I'm happy that right here within 4 nurses, we have 3 different type of retirement plans being discussed. So we talked about that with retirement plans. On this platform, we talk mainly about finances. Like our realm has been investing. Most people come and they say, Trevor, how can I begin investing? I'm okay. That's a vague question. Are we talking about stock market investment, real estate investment? Are we talking like what type of investments are you talking about?
I can't see
private
it.
equity businesses. Like it's a really large field. And when I took a step back, I said people need good high-paying income jobs. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of those jobs are STEM jobs: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And all of y'all are really within science. Y'all, nursing falls under the realm of science and everything that you do. So to increase your salary, I'm in IT and finance. I know I can go out and get 2 or 3 certifications, study 6 months to a year, and increase my salary by $15,000, $20,000, $40,000. What can a nurse do? Whether it's a new nurse, maybe not as much a new nurse, I'll let y'all talk to that, but a nurse that may be 3, 4, 5 years in the game and wants to take that next leap from a salary standpoint, what steps can they take to do that?
Well, one, since you already said certification, it's the same with nursing. You can go get a certification in something. It can be it's very specific or generalized. So I can go out here and go get a hospice cert, and Chelsea can get a labor and delivery cert. And you study for it. It's just sort of like a test. You study for it, you prepare for it, you take the test. Once you pass it, then you just pay every 2 years or so to keep your cert up. Have I did it yet? No. I think for me, I know it's easier said than done. And like I said, I already finished school, so trying to go back is like, the struggle. But just trying to figure out what you want to specialize and get that certification. I got a lot of people who do like wound care nursing. But for me, it would definitely be certification. That's probably next on the list. But to say what area or field, I don't know.
Yeah.
Are there like designated certs? So like, I don't want to get too much in IT, but I know healthcare is huge. Healthcare is huge. There's 1,000,001 positions. And I always tell people, be specific, especially if you're looking for a job. Do you want to be a nurse? Do you want to be A, B, C, and D? So are there like specific certifications? You just mentioned hospice or like...
The main one is your BLS.
What does that stand for?
Basic life support. That's your main
Just
one.
CPR. Your
Yeah,
CPR.
CPR. That's your
CPR.
main one. Then you can go to your advanced, which is
Yeah, your
ACLS.
ACLS.
Yeah.
Okay.
But those are like the main ones that you have to have.
Yeah.
Okay. Your BLS and your ACLS.
Or PALS. if
PALS,
you're
the
with
PDK,
kids.
And I have to
and then
do
I have like
NRP.
and I have
Yeah.
NIH stroke scale.
Right.
Okay.
I had the stroke scale.
Yeah.
TNCC.
But
Okay. So BLS, there's
That's
a lot
the
of
main
acronyms.
one. Yeah, that's the like.
And those are like
Alphabet
based
The
on
soup.
the
BLS
course.
is like you cannot
You
work
can't
in
work
the hospital,
yeah,
period,
unless
without
you
a
have it,
BLS.
right.
Yeah.
No,
Outpatient
no
either.
RN can without
No,
BLS?
no employee
No
can't really
employee,
work
oh.
without a
Yeah.
BLS.
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so...
And then other ways for me, as far as like getting more money and blah blah blah. My hospital, because you know, like the nursing shortage is real, and so they want to retain staff, they want to keep staff. I have like a staffing kind of contract that I continue to sign. So it's like if I agree to work this amount of overtime, I'm getting that overtime pay, and then I get a huge like stipend at the end of that time whenever I meet that requirement. And so with me doing that last year, and then there's my hospital also offers like a retention contract. So basically all you have to do is say like you're staying with us for the next 3 months, and like we give you a bonus like based on you staying with us and not leaving. And so with that, like that, I made $20,000-$30,000 more just on contract, just on contracts alone, like
Just
not
on contracts
including
alone.
the overtime that I got from signing the contract. So you can do a lot to like get money in nursing. You know, there's a lot.
And like I personally just decided to do travel nursing, and with travel nursing, I have probably tripled my salary that I had when I was a new nurse. So like this year alone, I've made we're halfway through the year, way more than I even made like last year.
Yeah.
COVID did play a role in that because they were offering crisis pay and pandemic pay. But yeah, for me, I was like, you know, I had financial things. Like this year I paid off every credit card I had. I paid, you know, got a new car. I paid off a ton of stuff because I was able to just with travel nursing, and we get paid weekly. So every Friday, I have a direct deposit in my account.
Yeah.
Who about to take this money today?
Right.
Chelsea, I'm happy you mentioned like staying like 2-3 years, because we talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the episode about staying somewhere and being invested. We talked about a 401k, a 403b, a TSP, all of these different employer-sponsored retirement plans, tax deferred. They're very important because vested is the word you probably just mentioned. You're not always immediately invested in something. Vested means when you start a new job, to make sure they retain you, they're going to make sure that, well, not make sure, they're going to say, hey Jasmine, hey Chelsea, hey Channing, hey Symone. You're not going to be vested right away. What vested means is the money that they're contributing to your retirement plan. If you decide to leave that job, you're not going to be able to take all that money with you until you're 100% vested.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you make $100,000 a year and you're matching 5%. That's $5,000 per year that you're putting into this tax deferred retirement plan. On top of that, your employer is matching $5,000 per year. So at the end of 1 year, you have $10,000. If you want to leave that job at the end of 1 year, you're not 100% vested, your employer is going to say, that $5,000 that we matched you, that's not all your money.
Yeah.
That's only your money if you decide to stay with us another 2 or 3 years. You may be 25% vested, 50% vested, and employers do different ways. They have different methods of making sure that you stay there for at least the immediate, the 2 to 3 to 5 year term. That might be vested deferred tax plans. That might be employee stock option purchase plans. That might be different types of ways. So just always check with your HR professional, whoever you're working with, whether you're vested or not. So what's next for y'all? I mean, everybody has dreams, aspirations. We're all early career. We have some much more seasoned medical professionals here in the room as well. And I just want to know, like, what's next for y'all? Y'all thinking about pivoting, administrative, moving? You know, what's going on?
For me, my passion is military. I want to go to public health service. I want to be a public health service nurse and just see where that takes me.
Okay.
I think that I want to do more rapid response. I love running codes. I love the adrenaline rush. I guess that's come from being in the ICU. I want to do trauma and do rapid response nurse. So the one that's running to the codes, the chest compressions, that's what I want to do.
I want to be a women's health nurse practitioner eventually.
What about you, Symone?
Right, Symone.
And
Well, how
my
much further up can you go?
Direct your nurses.
Well,
Well,
with the new Virginia law, when I get my hours in as well as my years of experience, I plan on practicing autonomously and opening up my
Oh,
own practice.
good.
There we go.
Wow.
I think we should do something else.
Oh, you can also be your administrator.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. I could come
Where'd that
work
go?
too.
Well,
I'm sorry. It's still
Right.
there.
Get my contract together.
I'm gonna work at the front desk.
Cool. Well, I heard y'all had some superlatives on your plate. So, who was the most studious during y'all time?
Simone.
The nurse practitioner.
Simone, by far.
Where always had a book in her hand.
Always had the
Simone was
notes,
ready.
always trying to help somebody. One thing about Simone is I can always say she like always was gonna like help you.
Yeah.
Like if you were struggling, Simone was just like, well, you can come over and I can help you.
Yeah.
Like for real. I was about to cry again.
Yeah.
You need that one person in college that
You
you can
do.
really rely on.
100%.
Nah, college is love because people, especially during undergrad, you struggle to get through it.
Woo!
You struggle to get through it.
Boy,
Like,
do you.
you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta.
And I had my moments. Don't get it
Yeah.
twisted.
Oh, no,
Jasmine
no.
can tell you.
I'll
I had
challenge
my
you,
moments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, but I mean, at least you was an anchor.
Right.
From
She was.
She was.
You were
100%.
an
That's the
anchor
perfect word.
from an
Yeah.
educational standpoint. Like, trust me, I've been there on both sides, being able to either help someone or like go like I'm clueless.
Yeah.
We got a test in like 2 days. So, nah, that's dope. Yeah, I mean, we've covered a lot of stuff. I appreciate y'all being on here and dropping a lot of gems for all the thousands of nurses that will see this, especially during a climate like this of COVID-19. So, I'm at a loss for words. For real. I just hope that everyone that sees this video can take something from it, and I hope that we can take a toast right now to all the nurses doing their thing during COVID-19.
Shout out to Save and Sip and
Yes,
Trevor.
thank you for having us, Trevor.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
Take
Oh,
care.
miss it.
Tune in. You know, I always tell Jasmine not all heroes wear capes, but they definitely wear scrubs during these times.
Yes.
And keep saving the world and being great. So we'll catch y'all on the next episode of Save and Sip. This was the Nurses Edition. Much love and take care.